sucked face.
No.
When A Nightmare on Elm Street debuted in 1984, it took up the slasher genre and went toe-to-toe with Halloween. But while Halloween has had tons of reboots and sequels, Nightmare has been oddly silent for the past 15 years. Ever since the polarizing 2010 remake, there's been nothing. And meanwhile, even Friday the 13th, which last hit theaters in 2009, is making a comeback with a new showrunner for its Crystal Lake prequel series. There's still hope, though. Craven's estate regained the rights in 2019 and quickly started looking for new Nightmare pitches. So where does the franchise go next? That's the tricky part. New Nightmare was ahead of its time with meta-horror, and past attempts at reviving Freddy haven't quite worked out. But one idea seems like a no-brainer: a Freddy Krueger origin story with great casting. Before we get into casting, let's talk about Robert Englund and his idea for a Nightmare on Elm Street prequel. Robert Englund is a horror icon, mainly because of his legendary run as Freddy Krueger in the A Nightmare on Elm Street series. He played the role in every movie except the 2010 remake, where Jackie Earle Haley stepped in. Englund made Freddy terrifying, but also added just the right amount of dark humor, especially in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. That said, the franchise lost its edge over time. While Dream Warriors, the third movie, is widely considered the best sequel, the others weren't exactly known for their quality or scares. In fact, they leaned more into comedy and got pretty messy. Wes Craven's New Nightmare gave the series a creative boost in 1994, and Freddy vs. Jason brought some fresh energy in 2003 by crossing over with Friday the 13th. But then the 2010 remake came along, trying to go darker but ended up feeling bland, predictable, and all over the place. And just like that, A Nightmare on Elm Street went quiet. Englund thinks A Nightmare on Elm Street could go old school if it ever makes a comeback. With all the horror reboots and legacy sequels happening, fans have wondered if Freddy Krueger could return in some way. Englund has a fresh idea that doesn't involve a direct sequel. In a September 2024 chat with Comic Book, Englund and Langenkamp were asked how Krueger might go after his victims in today's world of social media and smartphones. While Englund likes the idea of technology playing a role in horror, he's more interested in taking things back in time. He'd love to see a prequel that dives into Krueger's arrest, his time in jail, and all the courtroom drama surrounding his case. He thinks the lawyers could be shady characters. After all, Krueger got off on a technicality. Since this would take place before he was burned, it would show him as a regular guy on the outside, but already full of darkness inside. Englund also suggested the prequel could explore his family life, showing his relationships with his wife and child and just how twisted he really was. A Nightmare on Elm Street prequel could finally fill in the gaps about Freddy Krueger's past. While the movies have touched on his backstory and even shown a few flashbacks, there are still a lot of unanswered questions. Dream Warriors revealed that Freddy was the son of Amanda Krueger, a nun and nurse at an asylum, who was brutally assaulted by the inmates after being accidentally locked in with them. She survived, but was left pregnant, and Freddy was later adopted by Mr. Underwood, played by Alice Cooper, an abusive man struggling with addiction. Freddy endured a rough childhood, eventually killing Underwood before moving on to torturing animals and later targeting the children of people who bullied him. At some point, he married Loretta and had a daughter, but the movies never fully explored the key moments of his crimes. How he was caught, arrested, put on trial, and then released on a technicality. His family life, including how his wife and child fit into it all, was also left largely unexplored. A prequel could dive into all of this, showing a side of Freddy's story that fans have only heard bits and pieces about. The 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street remake changed Freddy Krueger's backstory, making him a rapist instead of a child murderer, which divided fans. A prequel, however, could not only explore key parts of Freddy's past, but also clear up some long-standing theories. One of the biggest is the idea that Nancy's dad, Don, was the one who made the legal mistake that got Freddy released, essentially setting up the events that led to his death. Some believe that's why Freddy specifically targeted Nancy, though he already had other reasons to go after her. a prequel could add real depth to the franchise instead of just recycling the original movie's story like another sequel might. Prequels have been a growing trend in horror, bringing new life to well-known franchises. The first Omen gave fans a deeper look into the origins of The Omen's Damien, while T. West's Pearl explored the twisted younger years of its titular villain. Of course, not all horror prequels have landed well. Pet Sematary Bloodlines and Apartment 7A, a Rosemary's Baby prequel, didn't quite hit the mark. But if an Elm Street prequel follows Robert Englund's vision, it could easily join the ranks of successful horror prequels and bring something fresh to the franchise. Even with Englund's vision, they'll need a solid pick for Freddy, and I've got a few names in mind, starting with Reese Wakefield. Wakefield made a name for himself with major roles in Home and Away and HBO's True Detective, both of which earned him plenty of praise. He's no stranger to the thriller and horror genres either, having appeared in Sanctum and the first Purge movie. His role as the eerie and unsettling polite leader in The Purge is still one of his most memorable performances, earning him a lot of critical attention. For many Nightmare on Elm Street fans, Wakefield has that signature look that Englund made iconic. Plus, he's proven he can pull off creepy, intense characters with ease. Given his talent and experience at a young age, he might just have what it takes to be the next Freddy Krueger. Now let's 360 and talk about the oldest actor I can think of for Freddy, Willem Dafoe. Dafoe has built an absolutely legendary career, racking up awards and cementing himself as one of the greatest actors of our time. He's probably best known for playing Norman Osborn / Green Goblin in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, but his range goes way beyond that. More recently, he's delivered stunning performances in At Eternity's Gate and The Lighthouse, the latter proving he can thrive in psychological horror. With his unmistakable grin, chilling voice, and intense screen presence, Dafoe could bring a darker, more psychological twist to Freddy Krueger, something that could make the character even more terrifying. And finally, my top pick for Freddy Krueger, Kevin Bacon. At first glance, he might seem like an unexpected choice, but Nightmare on Elm Street fans have been pushing for him to take on the role for years. Most people still associate him with his iconic turn as the rebellious dancing teen in Footloose, but he's also delivered standout performances in JFK and A Few Good Men. That said, Bacon's real connection to Freddy comes from his deep roots in the horror genre. His role in Friday the 13th from 1980 keeps him tied to classic slasher history, which only adds to the appeal. Even Robert Englund himself has said he'd love to see Bacon step into Freddy's shoes. With all that in mind, it's no surprise that Bacon is a fan favorite pick for a reboot. Well, that's a wrap for today. What do you think? Would you want to see a Nightmare on Elm Street prequel, or do you have another idea for bringing Freddy Krueger back? And who's your pick to play him? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this and other upcoming horror reboots. We'll see you next time.